Royal School, Wolverhampton, represented by Mr. Alex Large, the head of boarding. Let's put our hands together as we welcome Alex Large.
Wow, De Silva, what a lovely introduction that is, and I'm so pleased to be here this morning or this afternoon presenting on the grand finale day. And as you can see, compared to last week, I've had my hair cut especially for it as well. So let's crack on. I've got a little presentation, and again, I'm hoping there's no storms. Last Friday there were storms, and my internet was a bit dodgy. So I'm hoping that I will be okay this week. So I'm going to share my screen if that's okay, and let's get this started with my presentation. So as De Silva said, my name is Alex Large. I'm the head of boarding here at the Royal School in Wolverhampton. Now, we are a slightly different school to some of the other schools you'll see today, in that we're a state boarding school. So that means that unlike in the independent sector, the education part is free. We do not charge for that. So the only fees that you'll be paying is for the boarding. That means that our total fees for the year for 24-25 are £16,700. That includes your education as well. And also, it means because we're in the state sector, we're not subject to the 20% VAT rise. There are some conditions with that, though. We can't, unfortunately, take everybody. We are restricted in terms of our intake, so you have to either have a British passport or you have to have the right to live in the UK. I understand that will affect some of you, but what I would say is please continue to listen into my presentation in case you have friends, family who may have British passports and may be able to live here, and you can pass on that information there. So let me talk you a little bit through life at the Royal School here in Wolverhampton. So first of all, where is Wolverhampton? It's in the Midlands, in the West Midlands. We're about 20 minutes outside of Birmingham, so just a little bit outside of Britain's second city. It means we're really centrally located and we're really accessible in terms of travel. So things like your flights or trains, you can get from London to Wolverhampton via train in about 2 hours. You've got airports serving Liverpool, Manchester, and Birmingham. You also have all the airports that serve London, and we're really accessible. We're also situated in quite a nice area of the city itself. So if we take a walk 15 minutes down the road, we're into the city centre, and you've got the shops there, and lots of our boarders will spend time there on Saturday or Sunday afternoons. If we go the other way, though, we're in the countryside, and we can take walks up hills, and we can go and see some beautiful views. So we benefit from having both of those options on our doorstep, which is fabulous. And I will also talk a little bit more about the activity programme we have here, and being centrally located in the Midlands as well gives us access to lots of different things we can get up to during the week and at weekends. In terms of our boarding houses, we have two. We have Lichfield House, which is for the girls, and we have Dartmouth House, which is for the boys. Our boarding starts at age 11 and runs all the way up to 18, so that's years 7 to 13. And similarly, that's what happens in the boys' house too. And it's quite a nice vertical system in both houses. It means the younger boarders have those older brothers and sisters there to help look after them, help them get through the day, settle into boarding life. And it just lends itself to those natural conversations that, say, if your child is in year 7, year 8 and is feeling homesick, you're more than likely to have a boarder in year 11, year 12, who can take that boarder aside and go, yeah, do you know what? I struggled at first too, but now I'm thriving and I love it here. And you can add some reassurance there. And I think it's more powerful as well when it comes from the students themselves rather than the house staff. We have been recognised in recent years for our pastoral care and in terms of our work with vulnerable children. And we are a relatively small boarding setting. We have around 80 boarders compared to the 800-day students who are at school. But me as the head of boarding, that means I know each of my boarders really, really well and have regular contact with all those parents and the boarders themselves. And it creates that nurturing environment, some positive, meaningful relationships. It means that, for example, if they've got a train that weekend and I'm free, they can come with me, hop in the car, and I can drop them off at the train station. If they've got a tennis match, great. Maybe a house member of staff will go take them, go and watch them, and do all the things that parents would have done. In the city, we're really highly regarded in terms of our safeguarding, and we work with lots of professionals and external agencies. I'm sure one of parents' kind of concerns will be that pastoral care, and in particular the rise of kind of mental health issues, and being away from home will only exacerbate those. But in school, we've got wellbeing rooms, we've got trained school counsellors that can help and offer support during the day, and we have the boarding team who are really well qualified with mental health first aiders, all those kind of things to help in the evenings and make sure that we're really looking after your children, and they're getting the right balance of everything really to look after them both in their physical health and their mental health. We've also been recognised for our activity programme, and a few years ago I looked into a boarding passport, and because I think there's a massive advantage to being a boarder anywhere really, in terms of those independent skills. So I looked at some of the things that our boarders do, and the advantage that attending a boarding school gives you, rather than living at home. And just things like we make sure that they can all use a washing machine and a dryer. And they know how to make their beds. They know how to iron a shirt. All those little things. You see two of my boys there put up a mini greenhouse over one weekend a few weeks ago. So all those little skills are really useful for later in life, are part of the programme here at the Royal. And in terms of our activity programme, we've got kind of two main key areas. We have the day school, which has a thriving enrichment programme. So on 3 days a week, Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays, the school day is extended for an hour. And at the minute, we have over 70 different activities that all of our day pupils and boarders will take part in. And it includes things like your D.A.V., your combined cadet force. We have a drama production every year, as well as our sports clubs, or it could be anything. There's a knitting club, a crafting club, a finance club. So there's lots of different options for students to take during the school day. And also in terms of our music offer, we have over 300 of our students here at the Royal School take music lessons. That's by far the most of any school in the local area. And we have links with the Wolverhampton City Orchestra. So I have two boarders, one who plays the flute and one who plays the violin, that are going to represent the whole city in the City Orchestra in a couple of weeks' time, which is fantastic. And in terms of our boarding activities, we have a designated day during the week. So on Wednesdays, which is our activity night, and that can be anything from a game of chocolate bingo, which is really popular, to quizzes. We had a cultural presentations this Wednesday, where each of our boarders had to get in a group and present on not just their country, but an aspect of their country, and share that kind of that cultural learning with everybody else in the house. And then at weekends, like you could see in the map, we can get out and about. We can go shopping in Manchester for the day. We can go paintballing. We can go and play laser tag. We can go to Alton Towers, which is a local theme park. So lots of things happening all the time at the Royal, at both during the week and at weekends. Something I would like to draw your attention to is some of our sporting excellence, in particular around swimming, but also in terms of football as well. In the top left there, we have Matthew Richards, who's won consecutive gold medals at the last two Olympics, and we've had boys from the Wolverhampton Football Academy stay with us as well. So despite not being an independent school, we still do really well in terms of our sporting offers. And we're not precious about keeping our boarders on site. So If there is something we can't offer, we've had a boarder in the past who's a fantastic gymnast, and that's way above what we could offer in the school. But he used to go and train at a local gymnastics club and has represented Great Britain. And we put a program in place to make sure that while he was doing his gymnastics, he was still keeping up with his academic work to stay on top of that as well. So lots of offers there as well from a sporting context. Obviously, the main point of coming to school is to get a good education, and we're not shy about talking about that as well. We aren't a selective school. We are non-selective. So for us, it is more about making sure that as they work through that journey with us here at the Royal School, they are ending up at the destination that is right for them. We still have some fantastic offers that come through from Russell Group universities, and Nicholas Cann, who was a boarder with me the year before last, has gone on to Cambridge to study economics. We've got another couple of offers for Oxford and Cambridge this year, which is fantastic. But it doesn't matter that doesn't really matter as long as it's important for your child. And we've had we had a boarder who was incredibly into farming, and for him it was going on to study farming engineering at Harper Adams University. Was here, so we tailored his evening and the routine to make sure that he got the grades that needed for him. So we have a wide range of academic kind of ability here at the Royal School, and we're really inclusive in that. And for us, it's really about making sure that they get to the destination that is right for them. Still aspirational, but it must be right for each child. And also, I mean, I love sharing this photo. I think Dr. Allo and De Silva and Yemi have seen this photo lots. We're a really tight community in terms of the staff and the boarders and the parents. I'm really proactive on WhatsApp. We have a fabulous staff team that got fantastic write-up in our Ofsted report in October 2023, and I implore you to go and read that. It's on our boarding website. But these are my two sons, Harry, who's 6, and Thomas, who's 3. And one of my boarders got wind that the boys had an Africa Day at their school that they were at, and then I mentioned it to one of them. He mentioned it to his mum. A week later, she'd sent over these fabulous outfits for my 2 boys, and they were the talk of the school that day because they had proper outfits flown all the way from Nigeria, so they were really proud of themselves as well. And that just goes to show you the relationship that we have with parents. And it's amazing. It's always the mums from West Africa that will message me on Christmas Day and New Year's Day to wish me peace and happiness to me and my family. And I just think that's quite a nice touch and shows that relationship we have with the parents. So that's the end of my presentation. I would gladly take any questions that you may have. So I'll stop sharing my screen now, and I hope that's answered everybody's questions.
Thank you so much for that presentation. That was amazing presentation there. Okay, so parents, it's time to ask your questions. If you'd like to ask live, you can indicate by a show of hand, and we would make that happen. We would let you ask live. But if you do not want to ask live, then you can drop the questions in the Q&A, and we would invest it from there. But Mr. Alex, how long typically does the admission process take?
So it can take us as long or as short as you want, really. So we are not restricted by certain intake years, so we can have admissions throughout any year. We have a few spaces left in each year group, and it doesn't have to happen in September. So, for example, we've had quite quick turnarounds with some of our boarders in terms of admissions. There are certain criteria and a process that we do have to go through. So we'll always ask for kind of 2 years of school reports. References from the schools. We have a suitability to board interview where I'll speak to the boarder, the prospective boarder, and the parents, and we'll talk through kind of whether we are the right fit for them and whether they are the right fit for us. And depending on the time of year, that journey can be quite quick. We had a girl, for example, who applied towards the end of September, and she was in year 12. So we knew we had to get her in pretty quickly because she'd missed a month of her year 12 kind of curriculum. And I think that process took about a week, and we could get them in really quickly. However, we're getting inquiries for September 2026. So that's a slightly longer process, and we'll take a little bit more time on that. But in terms of those stages there, it can be as quick as necessary, really. And there are still entry points remaining this year, or for September 2025.
Okay, so we have 3 other questions here. So if I'll just lump everything together and then you just answer the questions briefly because
Yes.
we're running out of time already. Okay.
Of course.
Does the school provide career counseling and university guidance tailored to students' aspirations? That's one. Apologies, I joined late though, through the presentation. My question is around sports. Is there football? If yes, what sort of fixtures can be expected? And then also, what's the proportion of weekly boarders to full-time boarders?
So I'll answer all those very quickly. Yes, we absolutely have careers guidance. We have a strong career thread because we're in all through schools. So actually the careers process starts at age 4 when they come to our primary school. And that really ramps up through years 10 and 11. And then at year 12, yes, there's a lot of careers guidance. We get lots of visitors come in. Local colleges, universities will come to visit, as well as we have a school. We have a school guidance counsellor who is able to talk you through your next steps. In the UCAS process, we have a fabulous sixth form team who are really well qualified and get students into these top universities as well. And we'll give guided support. And that process kicks off in the March of the year 12. So the current year 12s will be starting that process. So absolutely. In terms of sport, yeah, football is our main sport. We play in a Wolverhampton league. We play each year group will play against different schools in the city to become city champions, and we'll enter cups as well at a national level to progress through those. So absolutely, there is football. And in terms of our proportion of weekly boarders to full time, actually, nearly 100% of our boarders are full-time boarders. We only have a very small amount of boarders that go home at the weekend. So we are full boarding community throughout the week. The majority will stay at the weekends. That's why we have such an extensive activities program at the weekends.
Thank you very much for your answers. And it's a pleasure to have you here at the British Boarding School Fair. So we're going to have a panel session much later in the day. So we don't mind if you can stay on till the end, that would be fine. But if not, if you'll just come back by 12 noon so that you can be a part of the panel as well.